All right. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Sneaking Into Movies. I am your host, Chris, with my co host, Jason. As always, how are we doing today, Jason?
I'm amazing.
Oh, amazing. Okay. Today, we're going to be reviewing 2024's Longlegs, directed by Osgood Perkins, starring Maika Monroe, Sir Nicolas Cage, and Mr. Blair Underwood. Jason, first question: why this movie?
Funny enough, we watch all the horror movies.
Yes.
This one went under my radar. You had mentioned that you saw it, and I was like, I don't even remember seeing the trailer, and I love trailers. It looked good, and then I looked it up, and I think cost $10 million to make, and ended up making $100 million. And I'm a sucker for Oscar award winners, and Nicolas Cage is an Oscar award winner, so let's check it out.
Okay, well, second follow-up question. Would you recommend this movie?
If you don't even have to like horror movies. If you like psychological thrillers, Silence of the Lambs type,
yes,
and you like a little bit of gore, but not Saw gore, I think this is a perfect movie for you.
Okay, perfect movie. I would take that as a recommendation. Jason, let's give it a star rating to set the sort of scene here for the rest of this talk here. Out of 5 stars, how would you rate Longlegs?
I'm going to give it a 4.
Jason Tate, I'm going to agree with you. 4, flat 4. I'm Mr. 4 lately here, but I enjoyed it. It is not, let me say this, it is not scary in this sense here.
No.
I think people built it up as way too much in a typical horror jump scare. It is not that. It is almost like I found myself laughing at probably places I wasn't supposed to laugh, but I found myself, and I mean this with all due respect to anyone that's a Satanist or devil worshiper, but sometimes that's just funny to me when you talk about like the end of Rosemary's Baby or things when they're talking about the devil. It's like, okay, it just amuses me.
Wow.
And dolls and things.
You might have to pay for that later. I'm just going to let you know.
Maybe so. Maybe getting pulled into a human sacrifice. And I'm like, are you guys serious? What are you doing with all these little bones here? It was built up. I will say this. I did enjoy it. I think it was hyped as the next sort of Silence of the Lambs, which it did have that kind of cool element to it, like that FBI sort of element to it, which I thought was really well done. But there is one ingredient. I'm sorry. I cannot state this enough. I love Nicolas Cage. Any movie, I'm going to see the Nicolas Cage movies. I mean, I've seen the straight-to-video movies. I've seen all his movies. I saw, starting with Peggy Sue Got Married, might have been my first interaction with Nick Cage back in the day. I'm sure some 80s movies that we all loved as well, but I have been a consistent fan this whole time. He is absolutely unhinged, completely out of his mind, and I think that's the best version of Nick Cage, or when an artist has that sort of freedom to just be insane. Loved it. Okay, we're gonna talk about. I love.
Wait, can I tell you a Nicolas Cage story real quick?
Yes.
Okay, so we all know he's part of the Coppola family dynasty.
Yes.
Adrian from Rocky, his uncle, Francis Ford Coppola.
Yes.
So his first movie role was in Fast Time at Ridgemont High.
That's right. Okay, yes.
He was supposed to play the older brother, and there's some dispute whether he did or didn't lie about his age, but I don't think he needed to lie about his age. His uncle's famous. You could have just asked.
Yeah.
But he was basically given the role, and then they went, well, you're 17, so you can only work kid hours. Yeah, no, you're not going to be the star of this movie. So he ends up getting like a 10-second cameo as the friend.
That's right. Okay.
The friend of the brother. Judge Reinhold got to skate in and become famous. He had to wait a little while to become famous.
Yeah. Never quite stuck with that judge. Kind of lost him in the 90s there. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, Lawrence Fishburne had the same sort of thing. He lied about his age and went on Apocalypse Now, and he was
I think he was like 14 or 15.
Yeah,
kind of nuts.
Exactly. They were not checking IDs at the gate there. Okay, let's talk about the director here. His name is Osgood Perkins. Now, you might remember him. He was actually an actor in the movie Legally Blonde, as well as a bunch of other things. He was kind of a geeky, nerdy guy from Legally Blonde. One of the attorneys on that team with Elle, I forget her character name, but looking him up, he's done some other films, but I've not heard of. So this is in a sense his debut. I'd essentially call it, or at least his more mainstream debut. Man, he did a good job. I mean, to your point, when you take a $10 million film and make success out of it for whatever the combination of well received by people or just Nick Cage or just another horror movie. Good for you. So he's got other ones lined up. I love seeing like actors turn directors, especially ones you never think of, like the kid. I'm trying to blank. He's a producer of some of the Marvel things. He was like the kid actor in A Christmas Story. Ralphie, remember Ralphie?
Oh yeah.
To be a producer. Love hearing those kind of stories of like, oh, okay, childhood actor turned, kind of stayed in the business here. So love that. Okay, next on the list, Jason, we have the acting. We're going to kind of slip over, Blair Underwood, come on. Blair Underwood has been in our life since he's a great actor. Maika Monroe, I thought she did a great job. I've not seen her before. I did not see, I want to say she was in It Follows and some other, or some other horror films I did not see. So I didn't
Not memorable. Not memorable. No, in this movie, yes, but not. We looked up her stuff, and I was like,
you did?
I've seen her, but I don't remember her.
Okay, well then
now I do.
Now you do. I mean, she did excellent. I mean, I thought she was excellent the entire way through. The mom, she's been in a bunch of stuff. I want to say that 70s show or that 80s show. She's been in a ton of stuff. The Proposal. What's The Proposal?
With Ryan
she
Reynolds?
was in No. I'm thinking of the one. My favorite role of hers was like Queen Latifah had that like disease where she was going to die, then not die, and LL Cool J was in it. What's that movie I'm thinking of?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but yes, I know.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. I can't think of it because we've seen it so many times with Queen Latifah going to Switzerland. And anyway, I digress here. She was excellent, but really the star of the movie is Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is, I'm going to just say this, Jason, and this will get cut as a short. Nicolas Cage is America's greatest actor of all time. You let that sink in right there. The greatest American actor that has ever lived. Some may say Marlon Brando. You go back and look at, previous actors that have kind of won, Gregory Peck, Elizabeth. What am I thinking?
Taylor?
Elizabeth Taylor, excuse me. These are all, Charlton Heston, Orson Welles, some of his act. Listen, there's been some amazing actors over the time. And I certainly understand that statement does not seem to agree with many other people out there. But when you think about the longevity of this man's career, the absolute freedom to just be crazy, just like press play and just go be weird, that's amazing. There's a German actor who I love called Klaus Kinski, and he was the same way, unhinged. Did a couple like Fitzcarraldo and just some other like absolutely crazy performances. He is amazing, just so full of force. German actor, loved him. So maybe this is just like the Americanized version of him. Tell me another actor that you think is better than Nicolas Cage in America.
I will say, okay, I'm actually going to defend a little bit of your Nicolas Cage right now.
Okay.
And lately, what we've seen actors that literally just play themselves in different versions of the multiverse. So you have Mark Wahlberg that plays the same character in every movie, no matter what it is. I'd say throw John Cena in there, throw Paul Rudd in there. Nicolas Cage truly has range, and I think the best part about this movie was I wouldn't necessarily have known it was Nicolas Cage. Like That's right. Kind of, even not being on screen for that long, he melted into the character. And lately, the movies you've seen, you just go, I already kind of know what the next words you're going to say is, because it's literally the same script. Mm-hmm. Kevin Hart, let's throw Kevin Hart in there too. It's the same thing over and over again. And because you like them, but you're not smart enough to realize they produced it. So that's why they're the star.
Yes.
I like Nicolas Cage because he'll do a big budget. I don't think he does big budget anymore, but he'll do every off the wall kind of. There was one where I think he played himself as
the unbearable unbearable talent.
Yeah, I think you this is that freedom you get where you go, I've been doing this for almost 40 years. Yes. I can play any role.
This is not my first rodeo. Get out of the way. And that's my favorite thing, is just when he's on screen, it's like impossible I mean, it's wild, but it's impossible not to love him here. I have his films pulled up here. We're just going to spend a couple minutes on here. It's amazing. Now, I have absolutely misspoken as I've looked through his entire filmography here. I have not seen, in fact, every single movie that Nicolas Cage has made. I'm looking at 2019's Color of Space. Haven't heard of that one.
Seen it. Crazy.
Seen it? Well, Jason, you are Butcher's Crossing from a couple years ago. There's a lot that I haven't seen, but I want to.
You know, I watch Jason, everything.
You're going deep, brother. Okay, some of my favorites, I absolutely love Raising Arizona. I've seen 1,000 times. I mean, I think that's when he like really. No, I take that back. Struck, same year, 1987. Raising Arizona and Moonstruck came out both those years. I mean, I think those two films and just those two, like, really put him in a special place as far as character actors. And then Raising Arizona, just so uniquely himself that it's impossible not to love him. I think he won his first Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, but amazing. And then you talk about the range, Jason, the National Treasure movies. I watched those. They're fun. I've seen them.
He did. It was, I think when I first kind of went, this is the guy, was Con Air and Face Off. Like, I owned both of those DVDs. You know, and it was just like, oh, this is the action star right here. I mean, but you keep buying T-Rex skulls, stuff's going to go a little wild. Like, you're spending your money really, really fast. Funny story.
That's a wild picture. Yes.
He married Lisa Marie Presley, and he had this brilliant, amazing comic book collection. And allegedly, she's like, get rid of it. And he got rid of it.
And it was like Superman 1.
It was everything everybody is paying $3 million for now. He's just like, oh, okay, I love you, goodbye.
Just love him so much. Bad Lieutenant, he was absolutely unhinged with. But anyway, these movies, I'm going to share kind of save the impression here, but I've been going around my house going, not once, not twice. You know that scene that I literally cannot help myself. Anytime. I am obsessed with that portion there, and my family absolutely hates it, but I just love doing that so much. Because, again, that was supposed to be creepy, but I find it just, again, we're talking about, excuse me, this has been out for a little bit, so we're going to there's no spoilers here. If you have not seen this movie by this time, that's your fault. The devil worshiping and the dolls and things, that is just, I'm sorry, it's kind of funny. Now, the gore part and the killing, yes, Jason, but it's also a doll and that is inhabited by the devil that's telling people to kill people. So there's a certain amount of comedy and pathos kind of baked in that idea.
Wait, was it supposed to be funny? Like, I wasn't laughing.
I don't think it was supposed to be. It 1000% was not supposed to be funny.
Okay. You just think it's funny. Okay.
I just think it was it's like there's a level, I don't know if I say camp or kitsch to it, but it wasn't like your traditional, like, I don't know, it was just like a nice mix of things. Like, it was that psychological, suspenseful thing, but like when it came to the doll part, it's just, I don't know, it's just funny to me. And, when he's like, anytime someone says "Hail Satan," it's just, I chuckle at that. I don't know why. Again, just believe what you want. It's just funny to me.
I have a theory on Satan.
Okay, please.
Here's my theory on Satan. I think Satan is the ultimate gatekeeper. He only reveals himself to certain people. He's like, oh, I refuse to be famous. I want everybody to know my name, but only some of you are going to have a relationship with me. He's like a Kanye, where he's like, no, only some people get to know me. Everybody knows who I am, but only some people know me. And I say to that, stop being a hater. Just come out. Tell everybody. Just debut. Pop up. Pull up. Just go, hey, I'm the devil.
Get out of the
you've
shadow.
heard of me.
Yeah,
you've heard of me. In the movie, we kept seeing things where it's like, wait, was that an image in the background? And I went, well, one, it's not 1970, so this is not original. But I kind of liked it where you're like, I think they're trying to make it subliminal, but we're not in a movie theater. You can't do that.
Yeah.
I can just see the image.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, come out the shadows, devil.
Yes.
Come out the shadows. Satan, just pull up.
Satan, you need to do like allow me to reintroduce myself.
He should come on Dr. Phil. Satan and Dr. Phil.
There's been films throughout the TV shows and films. I want to say Lucifer might have been a show where it's kind of like that, where the devil's character. But anyway, let's talk about horror films next here, because this is something you said, and it's like I want to go back to, like, of films that have come out in the theaters over the last few years. I want to say it was the first. I mean, maybe Blair Witch Project really kind of like set it off back then. But what was the one where it was like really low budget and it was like ghosts kind of like pulling things in, and they made a few of them?
Paranormal Activity.
So
let me tell you about my experience with that.
Yeah.
As I've mentioned before in the episodes you haven't seen, I used to bootleg movies a lot. So one night I downloaded this movie, Paranormal Activity. I had never seen a trailer. I think it was a screener. It's not even out yet. I go over to my friend Mike's house at like 1:00 in the morning. Bunch of people over there. We pop it in the DVD on my burned DVD, and it was the first kind of movie where it seems like it's security cameras. So you think it almost looks like an episode of Dateline. And everybody is just it's jump scares, it's creepy noises. It changed the whole genre of what those kind of movies were. And I think it was one of the first like big hits where people that don't watch the genre are like, oh, no, you have to see this because it's not gory. So, it's not in the Saw category kind of thing.
Now, first of all, as you said that out loud, Jason, the thought of going to a friend's house at 1 a.m. is absolutely foreign to me at this point.
Oh, that is a long time ago.
Okay. I was about to say, Jason, we're the same age, my man. That's wild.
That was like 20 years ago.
Okay. That makes more sense to me, as you said it's an older movie there. I don't like horror as a genre. I don't like Saw movies. I don't like gore. I especially don't like some of that. I just really, just don't like that. I prefer, this one I like because it had like this mix of like psychological or thriller or suspense to it, which I really like. There was one, what's the one where she gets decapitated? I'm drawing a blank right now.
Hereditary.
Hereditary. Loved Hereditary. I mean, I love that director. I thought that one was so good because it was just so like, what a unique voice. And this one, I think this one had that same thing too. It's like you've seen, maybe it's a mixing of those genres there, but like it just felt like original. It just felt unique and had some sort of unique voice to it. I think the theater I saw it in was like a lot of younger people who I think like those type of Scream and Saw type of horror movies, maybe more traditional jump scare, gore, possession type movies. And this was not that. This is more like a hipster. It's like more like a hipster horror movie as opposed to that. So some people were like, was I supposed to be scared? I was not really scared.
Was it? See, that's the thing. I missed the trailers. I missed everything. I didn't know if it was sold as a horror movie or to me, it just struck me as a psychological thriller. I do have a question though. You went to the same school as the Blair Witch people?
I did.
The film school. So did they come back and go? Did they serve as kind of an inspiration and Oh, okay.
They came back. They spoke to the classes. There was like mutual friends. Some of my buddies from film school went on to like work with them afterwards. They tried to make some projects here, so they were definitely connected. A real quick story on Blair Witch Project, which was an enormous, massive hit, and in Orlando, where it was made, of course, it put the city, put them on the map. Completely got screwed on money. Completely got screwed over by Artisan for that film, the filmmakers. All that money it made, and I think they got $1 million a piece or something small like that. But anyway, I was working at the Enzion Theater in Orlando, and upstairs I was like house manager, kind of get the spin the movies on, like get them loaded up on the reel, and just kind of do a lot. It's an art house theater in Orlando. In the computer, as I was kind of playing around on the internet in between things, I'd open up little art shops. And you remember in Blair Witch, like the little X, the cross sticks that's like over the box. The dude, the production designer, worked on my same job. And I'd open up and I'd see those initial designs like he was starting to make with like the stick figures.
Wow, that's like crazy.
I'd open up, MS Paint or whatever was on there. I was like, oh, shit. So there's definitely a connection to there. And that, similar to that, I think it creates... What works about Longlegs is to create that same kind of feeling of just like it I think any kind of psychological movie just kind of puts you in that different space there. So it's like hard to tell what's gonna happen. God, I just want Nicolas Cage too. I wish he was in it even more, even though he was like didn't come in until a little bit later. Just thought it was so good there. Okay, what else do we want to talk about? Horror movies. I'm sorry, the horror movies. So that is, in my mind, as you look through all these past years, it is one of the most financially safe gambles to make as like a producer or a production company. They are usually lower budget. They usually don't star, big names, so to speak, big actors that are expensive. And if it connects, it connects. And they made a ton of money, and then they have all, 1,000 variations of them. A buddy at work, his brother is like a producer and is making some horror films. So like that is not going to stop. The moment it stops is when you can't make 100 million out of 10 million, and people don't go to see it.
Yeah.
So we're going to see many more of those. And if you think about it, some of these other films that have bombed, it's like you spent too much. I mean, you spent too much on the movie. I want to say I saw something where Twisters, even though that was hugely successful that first couple weekends, might ultimately not make that much money or might lose money because of how quick theaters or movies have to kind of cycle through. Like if you're the big IMAX movie or the big movie that weekend, and then the next weekend something else comes along, I think Wolverine and Deadpool or something like usurped it out of the theaters, you're in trouble. You don't get as long a run, so to speak.
Well, that same issue happened with Mission Impossible.
Yes.
When they set the date, they kind of booked it out and they went, we're going to have this huge run in all the large formats, the 40X, the Atmos, the IMAX. And what happened was Barbie popped up on the scene and Oppenheimer.
Yes.
And so Tom Cruise actually used all his industry juice and was like, hey, you need to move these movies back.
Yes.
And they said no. And so what ends up happening is it only has regular ticket sales. And those kind of movies are spectacle to be seen. So same thing with Twister. You want to watch that in large format. And if you miss it that first 2 weeks, then all of a sudden it's like, it's just Wolverine now.
Exactly.
Okay, so they need to kind of lengthen the windows for those kind of big budget action movies so that everybody can see it in that large format. Because when you go watch a movie in a 20-year-old movie theater with 10-year-old sound, you kind of go, my sound at home is better than this.
It's 100%. Jason, I only want to go to like the Atmos theater or like the Dolby theater anymore because it's like that's the experience I'm getting. The couple times we went to the theater and it's like, yes, the old outdated one. I was like, I can't even recline the seats. My God, what are we doing over here? But I definitely. And then some smaller films, they will like build up steam. I want to say maybe Inside Out 2, which has become a monster. It started off well, but then it just kept building because it's like the family option for a few weeks there. And then it can build up an audience. And I like the smaller movies like this that can build up an audience. That Longlegs definitely had some long legs at the theater. Excuse my pun there. I had that in there.
They lend themselves to franchises so well. I would say at the end of a movie, if you go, I want more. They keep them short enough where it's not, you're not having to watch a 2.5 hour gore fest. They keep them short. They leave, even not this one, but most of these kind of movies leave it open for, hey, if this does well enough, we have 3 more written. I would say the Conjuring films are like that, where that could have been over with 1, but they turned it into an entire universe, and I think it's on like 4 or 5 now. And at the same time, they have the Conjuring universe starring that guy from the Conjuring.
That guy. But Jason, can you make too many sequels? Can you go fast and too furious with the sequels?
Not according to Tyrese.
Okay.
Patrick Wilson from St. Pete, actually.
Is he really?
He's
okay. Yeah, I know. He's been in a ton of stuff. Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so he's in the Conjuring universe, and he has the Insidious movies. So because of the budget, the budget's low. It lends itself to, like you said, hey, we're going to make this movie called Annabelle about a doll.
Very popular.
Made it. The first one bombed, and they went, hey, you know what? let's make another one because it costs probably $20 million. We can just make another one.
Just name the dolls. Just use the
Yeah,
reuse the same dolls.
yeah, and it's literally they have a curio cabinet full of movie ideas where you're just like, whatever tests well, we're gonna make a movie out of it. So I think I know horror movies are huge on straight to digital because you're making them for like $1 million. You're selling them to a studio for like.
No, you pre-sold it. Jason, I'm gonna put somebody on. I'm gonna put some people on some game. I'm gonna put them on some game here. Okay, this is the difference between movies that are successful and movies that are not successful. Okay, there are certainly a percentage of films that you will make on spec that you go shoot. Like, it's actually seeming like the Blair Witch Project. You go make it, and then you go sell it and find a distributor later. Certainly, there are cases like that. I would say now they're the exception. The ones that you are more likely to see, or that straight to visual, are pre-sold. So they'll get a Star or a Conjuring 2 or some bit of valuable IP, and they will go pre-sell it to distributors, national distributors, streaming distributors first. Do you understand? They do it first.
Okay.
And so now you are guaranteed, in a sense, to have that distribution. Now, usually it does take a somewhat star or somewhat successful film in the first place, but that's how it's done, is you pre-sell it to distributors before it even comes out as sold, because then at least you have something, because you can be stuck in purgatory. You make a film, it sits there for years because you don't have bad timing, didn't sell, you went on the festival circuit, didn't sell. Lots of films I've seen at film festivals that have gone nowhere or very limited distribution. The horror movies like this, before you even get in the theaters, they are, especially around the world, they are pre-sold. They are already, good producers will have sold that already.
Oh, that may we watched a movie. I want to say it was called Damaged. It doesn't matter what it was called, but it had Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, I love Vincent Cassel. Okay, that's it. 100%. No. Well, all right. My feelings of Mark Wahlberg continue to deteriorate quickly. All these recent activities and projects he's done are they're like written by AI, filmed, that I can't even keep them straight. Literally, I swear something's on Netflix or something now where I'm like, okay, tough guy, you're under. Well, of course you did. All right. Jason, geez, that's what I'm saying. It's just like it's like he is the master of mediocrity. He is just not great anymore. I mean, I love, he had certainly range in that. Now I love me some Dirk Diggler. Great performance. Boogie Nights, fantastic. But I think that's also like guilt by association. No, not guilt, I should say. But you have such other, great filmmaker and stars. You just get like leveled up just because you're around them. Okay, Jason, we're 30 minutes in. What are your final thoughts on Longlegs? 2024's Longlegs. Strong, right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I like that part a lot. I like when they decoded it and said like, drink more Ovaltine. No, that's not a good reference here. Jason, taking it back, decoding. That was a Christmas Story callback reference from earlier with the. Okay, Jason, that was not a good joke to end, but we both strong recommend Longlegs, both 4 out of 5 stars. Nicolas Cage. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We're going to be back here. All right. Yes, please. Jason, please. Okay, Jason, we're going to stay on Nicolas Cage here because I just love Nicolas Cage so much. You have seen all of his other movies. You have seen his movies. I'm going to recommend, hold on. Where is, no, Con Club. I'm looking for Bad Lieutenant. Where are you? I'm going to recommend 2009. It is the remake of Harvey Keitel's Bad Lieutenant. It's 2009, Port of Call, New Orleans. Eva Mendes is in it. My man is absolutely insane in that movie. There's a scene where he starts doing like ABC or 1, 2, 3. It gets in my head. That is another one where it's like unhinged performance. I don't care what you think of it. It's just you cannot take your eyes off of Nick Cage in Bad Lieutenant. Jason, what would you recommend? What is your movie and why? Let's stay at Con Air. Okay. I did it. Well, one of the best mullets in cinematic history, up there with like a Joe Dirt for classic mullets here. Con Air, Bad Lieutenant, both recommending Longlegs. Jason, any final thoughts? Is that it? Oh, look at that. from a title of sneaking into movies to support your local theaters. Jason, you're maturing. You're maturing every day. Okay. Sometimes we grow up. Exactly right. We're past our sneaking into movies phases. We're into the fiscally responsible stages of our life where we want to support young artists and make sure that they continue to make content we want to see. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Tune in next week for another episode of Sneaking into Movies with Chris and Jason. Bye, everybody.